Well, this afternoon, the Ghana Immigration Service is enhancing security measures in parts of the Volta region to check the use of unapproved routes as President Akufo-Addo orders for the reopening of Ghana's land borders, and it's taking effect today. Now, we know that as part of the COVID-19 protocols, a raft of measures will now be observed at Ghana's frontiers, including a PCR test for non-vaccinated persons. Now, joining us is Ivy Setoji, was at the Aflao border and now joins us on phone. Ivy, thanks for joining us. So what did you find out at the Aflao border, and what have residents been telling you in the area?
Well, residents of Ketu South, especially those at the border, are excited about the opening of the land borders, especially. According to them, for the past 2 years, the borders have been closed. It has been very, very tough for them. Most of them were unable to speak because they depend solely on the border businesses, that is buying and selling from Togo, Lome, and Aflao. So everything went down. But now that they have opened the borders, they will be able to go back to their normal business. The transport owners are also happy about it because, according to them, the security services will not stop them, or officials will not stop them on their ways, and then maybe demand ID cards and other things that is required. They will be able to travel freely, take their passengers freely to wherever they want to go. So it's full of excitement in Aflao, especially that's Aflao in the Ketu South, for the residents there, because the borders are open. Right now, the activities are not much because people are still coming, but according to them, from tomorrow, everything will spring up very well. These people are also complaining about the vaccination. They are saying that some of them do not have the vaccination card, so the issue with no vaccination, no entry is also a problem to them. So they should be able to do something about it. That's the government to be able to address the issue, because it's not everyone or every resident that has the vaccination card. So that means those who are not able to have the vaccination card and are not ready to go for vaccination because of fear will not be able to cross. So these are some of the issues. But in everything, they are very glad, they are happy about the reopening of the border.
Ivy, so what about the residents themselves? How are they planning to restart their commercial activities?
Hello, Lazar?
Yes, I'm asking about the residents. We know that there's a lot of trading that goes on at the border community. What have they been telling you in terms of how they intend to restart their activities?
Yes, they are planning to revamp their businesses. Those who stopped because of the closure are planning to get money to revamp their businesses as well, especially those who are close to the main Aflao border. Those with at the station close to the Aflao border who sell some items, some merchants as well, said they will have to look for money to put into the business, so they will be able to get profit as they used to. So yes, most of the businessmen and women, the traders especially, are planning to get loans to get enough money to invest into their businesses so they can get enough. Because now that the borders are open, it's a great news to them to be able to do businesses without any problem.
Ivy Setoji, I'm grateful that you've been able to give us some updates now. Meanwhile, anyone found using unapproved routes will be arrested. That's according to the local authorities, who are actually fashioning out measures to avert another wave of infections and to ensure that there is safe reopening of our land borders.
We are to be screened for any traveler or any foreigner who wants to enter Ghana or exit Ghana have to go through the main Aflao border. So if you go and pass there and you are seen, or they see that you'll be able to cross in, you'll be arrested and brought back to the office for you to be sent back. So that is what I want the community to understand, and other travelers who might, some of them, out of ignorance, they are deceived, and then they use them to motorbikes to cross them. They should come through the main border.
Well, so joining us on phone now is ACIF Frederick Dodo, who is the Immigration Sector Commander there within the Aplao area. Thank you, sir, for your time. Also, the MCE for Ketu South will be joining us shortly. But, Commander, let me start off with you. So, your challenge has got to do with the unapproved routes. How do you intend to crack down on these activities?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and then good afternoon. Yes, the officers have been deployed there. It is an exercise that we were doing already before even the closure of the border. Again, during the closure, other security officers were brought to Aflao to augment the strength of Ghana Immigration Service, i.e., we have the military, customs. So there's a combined team of security officers manning all the unapproved routes.
So what you mean to tell us is that you're stationing your officers along these routes?
Yes, the officers have been stationed along these routes, but the few challenges that we have is that with the unapproved routes, the moment you see one, another one is open the following day. So the unapproved route keeps on increasing by the day. Yeah. So we are patrolling there just for so that illegal migrants don't use those places.
So now that the borders will be reopened, at least we know that's taking effect from now. How do you intend to deal with the situation? Because the president has talked about a number of protocols that needs to be observed at the land borders. How effective are your measures going to be in ensuring that, particularly when now you are revealing to us that you're having challenges with the unapproved routes?
Yes, we'll still be doing the inner checkpoint, so that all those persons who gain access illegally into the country are apprehended and then brought to the main border. Again, we have opened Bit 9 also. Bit 9 is the approved pedestal crossing for the border residents. It's open. So over there too, we have all the agencies there: Immigration, Customs, Port Health, Bank Quarantine, all there to screen them, so that anybody who is a traveler and transfer traveler should be directed to go through the main border. Yes.
So do we know about the Togo side of the border and what the Togolese officials are doing? Is there any correspondence between your offices?
No. The Togo border too was closed by His Excellency, the President of Togo. So it's just like the way Ghana side was also closed by His Excellency, the President of Ghana. So whatever directives that to link to the opening of the border should come from the President of Togo. So it is our hope that since the Ghana border is closed, maybe in the nearest future, the Togo side will also open. Because if it is not open, then the travel flow will not be there. Yes, because when you are going to Togo now, you need to be able to satisfy all the restrictions, requirements for you to the protocols that have been put in place for you to enter Togo. Being the COVID test, being authorization letter, like they pass it from the embassy and so forth. Yes. So it has made those who want to travel through Togo to Togo and even beyond impossible for them to do.
I'm grateful for your time. Let's now talk to the MCE for Ketu South, Maxwell Lugudo, who's also on phone with us. Thank you, sir, for your time. So here we are. You're in charge of the District Security Council. Obviously, you'll be working to enforce what it is that we heard from the President yesterday. How are you going about such activities?
Hello?
Yes, Honorable, I'm asking about your measures in furtherance of the directives from the President. How are you enforcing that in your area?
Yes, actually, I would like to take this opportunity to say good afternoon to your cherished viewers. My security agencies are putting everything in place to make sure the directives given by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for everything to move on smoothly. But I was at the border this morning, even though the border is open, but the Togo side is not open. But it seems they are allowing the indigenous, the people around the border, the locals to go in and out.
So what that means is that for now, you may not have to worry yourself because there'll be no inflow from the other side. Is that correct?
It's correct.
So what's informing basically now the decision to open when we know that our counterparts from the other side are not doing same?
As for that one, I don't know, but the information gathered now is it's possible that Togolese counterpart might also be opening the border very soon. How soon, I don't know, but I learned His Excellency the President of the Republic of Togo might also be addressing the nation today or tomorrow for the border to be open. Okay,
so the expectation you have is that any moment from now, the Togolese officials may also do the same. Exactly. So that then brings to the fore the issues about the measures. We know that this is the land borders that we're talking about. It's not as though it's like the airport where check measures can be easily instituted. How are you going to collaborate with the agencies within your community?
Hello, can you please repeat the question again?
Yes, so I'm talking about the fact that unlike the airport, we know that this is the land borders. It's not enforcing the measures will be much more tougher for you as local authorities in the area as compared to that of the airport. So I'm asking what measures you're putting in place, how you are collaborating with all the agencies responsible to achieve that effect. Hello, sir, can you hear me?
I can't hear anything to myself.
Oh, it appears that we're having challenges reaching out to the MCE for the area. But let's try one more time. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm asking about the land borders. We know that this is the land borders that we're talking about. It's not like the airport where you can easily enforce the protocol. So I'm asking what measures you're putting in place, collaborating with the agencies in your district or municipality to enforce that.
Yes, that's actually I was saying that the security agencies and the health securities are putting things measures in place so that when you are coming, then when you are coming or you are going to ask for your vaccination card to see whether you are vaccinated. But if you're not vaccinated, they will have the vaccine there for you to, in case you want to be vaccinated, they can vaccinate you. That's right.
Okay, so that's how you're going to be checking it. You need the vaccination card. But exactly. here's the case that we're receiving reports that some persons who did their vaccination earlier are having challenges with the verification process when it comes to their vaccination cards. How do you intend to deal with that?
Actually, that is a challenge, but I will discuss with the health authorities, see how we can help solve this issue.
And for residents within your area, are you educating them on these new requirements? Because these are people who move to and fro. I mean, it's a daily norm, if I could put it that way, for them. They move across the borders easily. So giving the announcement by the president, are you scaling up education and engagements with residents in the area?
Yes, exactly. Anytime I have the opportunity, I'm always on radio to let them know. There's a lot of perception here that when you take the vaccination, your shoulder, when you put your mobile phone or anything there, metal, it will get stuck. And it's so interesting. So any time I had opportunity, I always educate them. It's never happened. I had my vaccination, nothing like that happened. So it's now encouraging. A lot of people are now encouraging to get the vaccination. It's not like before that nobody wants to go there.
I'm grateful, Honorable Maxwell, for joining us. Let's now speak to Louisa Aris, who's the Municipal Chief Executive for the Jomoro area as well, joining us on this. You know that we're talking about the western side as well, our borders there. Let's check out what measures are in place there. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us. So what measures are you rolling out in your municipality to ensure that there's safe reopening at that side of the border that we are talking about now?
Thank you so much for being part of the program. Let me make this correction. The name is Louisa Iris Ade. It's not Fote, if you could correct the name. I've been to the borders even before the announcement was made yesterday by the President. We've made all the necessary arrangements. Meetings have been held in preparation because of the information that was put out there by the Minister of Information. So we got ourselves prepared even before yesterday. There's been a series of meetings and there's been a lot that has been done underground. I was at the borders. You know, Jomoro is a hub of borders. I've been to most of the borders today, and you could see that the officers are really prepared. I was there with the Director of Health and other team members, and we went round that everybody is prepared for the reopening of the border. You could see that today it hasn't been a bit busy. It hasn't been busy because this is the safety. But we're praying that with time, the numbers will increase, and every preparation has been done to ensure that as the people go in and come out, we'll be able to accommodate them.
And we know that business in your area has been affected. What measures are you putting in place to help those within the community, petty traders and all of that, to restart? It's been a challenging time for them, about 2 years now.
Yes, it's been a challenge. I would say that the COVID-19 and the closure of the border has brought its rippling effect on the people, but Jomoro has had a double fold of it because we live by the border and we do trans-border trading and all that. It has really affected our traders. And just last week we had a program. It was about ways of revamping business of these petty traders. These are some of the programs that we've put in place to ensure that we help them bounce back. There are other ways that we are looking at, finding ways and means of getting something to support them, little amount of money to support them to, you know, bounce back. These are some of the things that we're trying to do for our people.
We're sure that our counterparts in Ivory Coast as well, what measures are they putting in place to complement what we're doing now? Is there any collaboration between these places?
Yes, there is a big collaboration between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Just yesterday after the announcement, some of our officers made calls to them. Although the borders over there have not been opened, but they know we depend on each other when it comes to trading. So they told us that sure, they know that it wouldn't be long. An announcement will be made pertaining to the reopening of the borders in Cote d'Ivoire. There has been collaboration between us. When you get to Newtown, when you get to WAF, when you get to Lubo, the collaboration has been there. We can't do it on our own. We always collaborate with them.
I'm grateful that you've been able to join us, Louisa Ade, MC for Jomoro. Thank you for your time. Now, the Ghana Medical Association is also raising red flags about government's decision to ease existing COVID-19 protocols, including the mandatory wearing of face masks. Dr. Titus Bayo is Vice President, is actually the General Secretary for the Medical Association.
I think they are welcome reliefs, I'll put it that way, of the restrictions. We are happy with them. The Medical Association just completed our council meeting over the weekend, and it was a decision of the council that we thought that at this point some of these restrictions needed to be lifted. If you look at the nature of the cases that are coming in, if we study the trend of the disease in the country now, there is a need for us to return some life to normalcy. In particular, we are happy that fully vaccinated persons do not need to be subjected to this testing at the airports, and I think that bit is very welcome. This COVID has given us a lot of positive lessons that if we do not make benefit of as a nation, we'll have ourselves to blame.
Right.
It is for the first time that we didn't report any cases of cholera because of our hand-washing hygienes. Are we going to maintain this? We saw local industries build capacity to be able to produce and supply and meet almost all our needs in terms of PPEs. Are we sustaining that? We improved our ICU capacity from something that was very abysmal to a point that ICU beds became quite available. Are we sustaining this for other medical conditions that require ICU services? And our research institutions, and I'm very saddened, and I have to mention this here, when you look at some of the restrictions that some countries brought up, in particular United Arab Emirates, when they brought their travel requirements, the accredited labs in this country that they would accept results from, none of them was a public lab. And that's very disappointing.
Right.
What happened to the KCCR, Noguchi, our public health reference labs that stood in for us? They made the initial diagnosis. How do we turn our back on these institutions and say that they are no longer fit to produce credible results that our international partners will accept? So I think we should not turn our back on those institutions that has helped us in the height of this crisis.
Well, we can now stay a bit more on issues relating to the border reopening, because in a related development, experts are actually concerned the reopening of the land borders could have security implications for the ongoing turmoil in border towns of Boku, for instance. The community actually serves as Ghana's frontier to two neighboring countries, Togo and the Republic of Burkina Faso. There are fears now that the situation could actually compound the clashes that are happening and ongoing in that community. So how do we avert that, and what measures should the national security be taking on this matter? Joining us now is Mutaro Mumuni Mukhtar, Executive Director for the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. Thank you, sir, for your time. So here we are. Yes, it's great news that the borders are being reopened, except that there are concerns about security in some flashpoints, including Boku, where we had recent clashes in the area. What's your take on that?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. First of all, it is commendable that the president, made a decision to open the borders. If you look at the economic situation, the state in which we are now, it requires that you take actions around how you can, act to revamp the economy. So it's important that that happens to be able to restore livelihoods. But if you look at the threat of violent extremism descending from the Sahel towards the coastal states, and if you look at what we call the spillover effect of violent extremism within the region, it tells you that this is a very dangerous time to open the borders, especially if you do not have some level of escalation of security commitment to helping in terms of preventing some spillover, from Burkina Faso. What is happening in Burkina Faso is largely a product of a spillover effect from Mali. And Mali, to some extent, is largely a product of what happened in Libya. Today, as we speak, the threat of violent extremism is pervasive in terms of its descent towards coastal states. We're seeing increasing level of attacks in the northern border of Côte d'Ivoire. We're seeing attacks in the northern border of Benin. We're seeing attacks in the northern border of Togo. Ghana is the only country within this space that has yet experienced attacks, and we have every reason to believe that we are not in any way immune to attacks from any quarter or from Burkina Faso. And if you consider the proximity of Boku and the very prolonged nature and complexity of Boku, it tells you that this is a very, very vulnerable situation we are in. And so we need to be very careful how we build some resilience against that in terms of preventing a spillover phenomenon from happening.
But then you also agree that there are concerns about economic activities. The borders have been closed for far too long, 2 years, and that could possibly be the reason why we are witnessing some clashes in the community, isn't it?
Yes, admittedly, I think that it would be very dangerous or very, very dangerous for the economy to not open the borders at this time, if you look at the current situation of our economy. But it's even more dangerous to open the borders, given what Boko is in now, and given the things that are happening within the sub-region. If you do not have a standby, a very deliberate security programs to prevent a spillover from happening. All the countries that I've mentioned, the 5 countries in all, are currently experiencing terrorism from a phenomenon we call a spillover effect. And we have no reason to believe or to think that we are in any way unique in terms of our immunity to that spillover effect. And so there's a need to escalate, put together a kind of very robust and comprehensive security programs along the borders. We need to increase interagency collaboration, information sharing, and intelligence sharing. But more importantly, how do we engage local community members to help being part of the counterterrorism community, help in terms of giving leads and tips, and helping law enforcement to intervene immediately in areas where they need to intervene to prevent, incidents from happening, or prevent, infiltration in terms of seeking to recruit local elements within the space.
So what's the option now for the national security to consider?
The option now is to beef up security, looking at it from both internal and external sources. Externally, we would have to increase our collaboration with our partners, with the Togolese, with the Ivory Coast authorities, with Burkina Faso authorities, to increase interagency collaboration and information sharing. We also need to look within and ensure local community actors are brought in, more involved role in terms of how they can help prevent any local incidents from happening. That is a comprehensive approach to dealing with it.
So correct me if I'm wrong, the concern for some is that once we don't have economic activities happening across the country, it could contain the clashes and the tensions, of the youthful population. So opening up would allow persons who are aggrieved, some who are even seeking for better opportunities in terms of economic opportunities, could go into our neighboring countries and in search of some. So if that's what we need to consider, why not give the opportunity by, first of all, opening up our borders?
If I get you right, you're saying that opening up the borders increases the risk of some infiltration or people coming in to cause trouble?
At least it will open up the opportunity for the youth to tap into in terms of economic opportunities.
And so the same, it goes both ways. Young people across the border are looking for opportunities. Same way here, especially along the border communities. And so it would have similar effect, people looking for economic opportunities across the borders or in here. Of course, it increases the risk of that. But at the same time, we've always had that risk, even before the borders were opened. Whilst the borders were closed, we've had illegal crossings, to and fro. So that has always existed. What is happening now is an increased risk of infiltration of potential troublemakers or extremists reaching out into this space and looking at vulnerable communities like Boko as it is and similar other areas within our space and seeking to radicalize or recruit vulnerable individuals. And so that is why we need to increase our security measures and security approach to dealing with it.
Mukhtar Mumuni Mukhtar, I'm grateful that you've been able to join us.